The hardest point of my life was probably after my third back surgery. I had a problem where I was pretty much on my back for 5 weeks straight. And I couldn't stand, I couldn't sit, I couldn't do anything. I just had to be in a bed for 5 weeks. And it was not fun. I had a lot of low moments, a lot of crying, a lot of pain. But, I got through it. And I just, I always reflect on that when things are bad or when things are a certain way, and just remember that, like, I've been in a place that's always worse than the situation that I'm in now, and it helps me get through.
Working in a city away from my family. I try to visit them as much as I can, and try to make time for them when they need me to be there for them.
One of the things I've struggled with the past 6 months or so is a kind of a bullying coworker at my job, and I've made 2 letters of complaints to my boss, but nothing's happening about it. He's leaving me alone a little bit more now, but I was really proud of myself when I stood my ground one time and just gave it right back to him, so I would recommend doing that.
One hardship that I've been through is my sister going through cancer treatment, and we got through it by staying positive and reassuring all of my family, and just communal group comforting and positive thoughts, and yeah.
So a couple hardships at work is just whenever it gets too busy, I just go in the freezer, have a good cry for a minute or two, go back out and finish the day.
When I was a freshman in high school, I started having a lot of panic attacks, but I wasn't really sure what those were. And so my parents were concerned and took me to see therapists, and I found out that I had high anxiety, which I also didn't know what that was at the time. And so I get really anxious, and like certain things that might not seem like a big deal to other people really worry me and bother me, and I can kind of dwell on things. But for me, something that has really helped me get through that was by talking things out with other people and writing things. Also finding ways to get some energy out, and that's why I draw, or I like to paint and do certain things that are creative that kind of occupy my brain in a somewhat productive and creative way. Really does help me get out of some of that funk.
Another one I went through a little while ago is when we moved to Beaverton from Portland, and I had to leave all of my friends behind, and no one really talked to me that much after that except for a couple of my friends who I'm still friends with now. The way I got through that, I went to therapy a little bit. I didn't really like that, and then I just started hanging around with more people, trying to get out there, and it eventually got better, and I made some friends, and I also still have the people that I had at my old school that stayed in contact with me.
I think one of the biggest recent hardships that I've gone through is just finishing college, because I've taken several breaks since I started after graduating high school, and so being able to actually finish college and get a degree is kind of a big deal.
So throughout 6th grade and 7th grade, I was really bullied. There was a couple girls that were really mean to me, and it came to the point that I didn't even want to go to school anymore. Like every morning I woke up with a stomach ache, feeling like I was sick because I was so afraid of facing them. But I was able to get over it and face them, and life goes on. Sometimes when it feels like your world is ending at that moment, there's always a bright side.
So growing up, I've always been kind of like shy and awkward, and and kind of just stuck to myself. And that was the case all throughout, my schooling, my high schooling, part of my college career until I transferred to the school I'm about to graduate from, Portland State. Once I got to that school, I decided to join my college radio station, and I never thought that I would get involved in an organization like that. I got to meet a lot of different people, work with a lot of different people, and do so much that you know, growing up, I never thought that I would be able to do. And that's something that meant a lot to me and made a really big difference in my life.
One of the things that makes me insecure about social media is all of the comments, all of the people, and all of the really mean remarks and stuff. So, like, I always have an opinion about stuff, but I never post it on social media.
Sometimes when I'm scrolling through Instagram or Twitter, I see a lot of girls my age that seem like they have like the perfect body, like they're tall and thin and toned and tan, and they're on beautiful beaches looking like they're having the time of their lives. And for me, it's hard for me to not compare what I look like to what they look like. And I catch myself doing that a lot, and I try to get myself to stop, but sometimes it's hard, and then I would just feel insecure comparing myself.
I think with social media, a lot of times people post things that they have and materialistic items or things that they do or are able to do, and oftentimes I will be insecure because I might not be able to do all of that stuff or have all of those things. And so social media is just kind of a place where people go to show all of their stuff and what they do, and if you can't do it, you kind of feel not good enough.
Just some reasons I feel a little insecure on social media is I'm not the greatest at makeup, and it's not like I have much time to put much makeup on. So just seeing all these people out in public with their beautiful makeup just makes me feel really insecure, especially since I don't have the best of skin.
An insecurity I have looking through things, like I'm always on Instagram and I follow a lot of like athletes and I don't know, professional people and people who just seem to have accomplished so much more in a time frame of the same like time span I've been on Earth, on life. But yeah, and it's kind of discouraging to see people who are like millionaires in their 20s and stuff. But you know, what can you do?
One of my insecurities as a photographer on social media is just constantly comparing myself to other people. You know, you post a photo and you see someone else post a photo from that same exact concert or of that same exact artist, and you sit there and you kind of wish and you kind of wonder, like, why didn't I take that good of a photo? Like, what makes them so much better? And you kind of sit there and compare yourself to it and kind of talk bad about your own work. But at the same time, it's a good and a bad thing. It's a bad thing that you compare yourself, but at the same time, you know, it kind of pushes you and it kind of forces you to grow and to be better at what you do.
Yes, I do feel insecure on social media. A lot of my friends will always post selfies, and I'm the type of person that's always afraid to post a selfie because I never think I look acceptable enough to like show my face. I know it's kind of stupid, but that's how I feel.
I feel insecure when I see people on social media living interesting lives while I feel like I only work and go home, and that's it.
As part of my job, I have had to learn to not be insecure on social media, for the reason that there is always going to be someone out there who is better than you at any one thing. You're never going to be as good as, you know, Usain Bolt at running, or, you know, as beautiful as, you know, Neil Patrick Harris. But you have to measure your own success according to a measure that you set for yourself, set your own goals, and, you know, measure your progress towards reaching them. So that's why I try to not get insecure about things on social media. I like taking naps.
Well, that's not a feature.
I try to find the humor in situations that other people wouldn't normally.
Something I like about myself is how passionate and driven that I can be. Sometimes it gets me into trouble because sometimes I'll prioritize one thing over something that I really shouldn't. But I think for the most part, it's a good thing, and, you know, really just pushes me to better myself and be better in my surroundings.
One thing I like about myself is I feel like I'm the type of person that's really easy to get along with. I consider myself sweet, and I have a very strong compassion for others. I always want to try to make others feel loved.
Something that I like about myself is that I'm very compassionate. I think I'm very caring about people, about being nice to people, treating others with respect, but I also am an advocate for being respectful and compassionate for animals or things like that. The world, the environment.
I like to think I'm kind of good at lightening up the mood in a room, but that could just be me laughing at my own jokes. I tend to think I'm more funny than I actually am.
I feel like I can always talk to people. I can always talk. There's never a subject that I can't really like have some kind of like common ground with someone talking wise. So I get told that I talk too much sometimes. So, you know, I feel like I can always talk about anything pretty much.
I really like my hair because I have never done anything terrible to it. So it's all very natural and I enjoy the color.
When I have something that I really want to do or really need to get done, especially if it's art, I can work for hours and hours straight through with like total concentration and get everything done.
I like to think of myself as a pretty caring and compassionate person. I know what it's like to feel left out, and so I have a soft spot for people that might feel like they're an outcast or that they don't fit in, and so I do my best to try and think of what other people are feeling and try to include people if they feel left out. So I see myself as an overall pretty compassionate person.
I was gonna say swimming, but that's not true.
Question?
I didn't pause. Sorry.
But yeah.
Beautiful.
You two. Stop.
Grammy winning.
Stop it. I don't need your commentary. This is the director's commentary.